Now, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has announced a sweeping new sanctions campaign against Iran called Operation Economic Outcast. Bessent says that the offensive targets Tehran's financial networks across the globe, invoking D-Day as the inspiration for the campaign. He says that Washington's goal is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the Iranian regime. The Treasury Secretary has also issued fresh determinations against 5 key sectors: digital assets, technology, gold, aviation and shipping that Iran uses to prop up its economy. Let's listen in to what he said.
The United States Treasury has begun Operation Economic Outcast, an unprecedented campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran and its enablers. In the Second World War, D-Day marked the historic beginning of a campaign with our allies to target and drive the enemy from its positions, including those in third countries. Today, in that same spirit, we are launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains this tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone. Iran's fanatics devote themselves to death to America and seek nuclear weapons to do just that. They have murdered and maimed more of our citizens and service members than any other terrorist regime on earth. And they have been at war against America, their neighbors in the Gulf, and much of the world for 47 years. President Trump has taken action that his predecessors have long deferred. And under his leadership, America is no longer managing the Iranian threat. We are ending.
In fact, I'm being joined by Pragati Tripathi, my colleague, for more on this. Pragati, there is an irony in this particular statement that has been made by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, where he's talking about World War II, when we already know that in World War II, U.S. was with China and Russia, but right now Iran has complete backing of both of these nations.
Yes, Iran has now witnessed that the war with the U.S. will not stop only on battlefield. Tehran is prepared for an economic offensive as well. And the statement comes as washing it in dramatically to escalate economic pressure on Tehran. Iran's economic minister has very clearly said that the U.S. and its allies are trying to attack Iran's economic, and Tehran intends to respond in kind. According to Iranian state-linked Pars News, he said Iran has planned an economic offensive against its adversary. And U.S. has announced a new sanctions campaign targeting Iran's financial lifeline, with the Trump administration warning countries and companies continuing business with Tehran that they could also face consequences. And U.S. President, Secretary Scott Bessent has described the campaign as an economic D-Day and one of the most extensive financial offensive over mounted against an adversary. And Iran's response is very blunt this time. And the economy minister has warned that countries and institutions supporting U.S. financial should be viewed as contributing to what Tehran describes as the death of Iranian civilians and soldiers in the conflict. He's specifically criticized the purchase of American government bonds, saying that even buying a single cent of U.S. bonds amounts to complicity in the blood of Iran's fallen children. And Tehran is signaling that it wants to turn economic warfare into two-way fight. Iran has several potential pressure points, purchasing its position in the global energy market, its oil exports, and strategically critical Strait of Hormuz. And any substance there could be they could have consequences far beyond Iran and the U.S. affecting global oil prices. So the Iranian rial has fallen to records very low, while Washington is tightening sanctions and attempting to restrict Tehran's access to international finance networks. And Washington wants to cut Iran off from money, markets, and international financial.
Right, Pragati, stay with us. We have more news coming in. Now, in another news, Iran's economy minister has hit back now at what he calls